Think you can play poker, boy? The billionaire's voice sliced through the laughter like a knife. Cameras lifted. Champagne glasses paused midair. 11-year-old Jaden froze, his small hands trembling as Richard Blackstone dragged him toward the poker table, a circle of power where no child, especially not the maid's son, was ever meant to sit. One hand, Blackstone sneered. You win, I'll pay for any school you want. You lose, your mother's gone tonight. The crowd roared with cruel delight. In that moment, surrounded by Manhattan's richest, Jaden wasn't just fighting humiliation, he was fighting for his mother's future. His heartbeat slowed. His eyes sharpened. And while the billionaire smirked, the boy who'd spent years quietly studying every move in that room was about to make one of his own. Subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories, where every moment of injustice meets an unforgettable reckoning. The sound of poker chips clattering against glass echoed through the penthouse like gunfire. The chandeliers trembled with laughter from people who'd never worked a day in their lives. Richard Blackstone leaned back in his leather chair, smirking as if the entire room existed for his amusement. Across from him, 11-year-old Jaden sat quietly, his small frame swallowed by the oversized chair. His eyes, though, were steady, dark pools of focus reflecting the glitter of the city below. Deal the cards, Blackstone said sharply. His voice cut through the chatter, and the guests fell silent. The professional dealer hesitated, glancing toward Angela, who stood frozen near the bar with a tray in her shaking hands. Her lips parted, but no sound came. The rules had been set, her son's mind against a billionaire's arrogance. The stakes, her livelihood. Jaden's fingers brushed the edge of the green felt, tracing its texture. Every detail around him, the hum of the air conditioner, the smell of whiskey, the faint perfume from Patricia Whitmore's diamond-clad wrist, locked into his mind like coordinates. His grandfather's voice whispered from somewhere deep in memory, "Poker isn't about luck, kid. It's about people. Watch their faces. Listen to what they think they're hiding." Blackstone tossed a handful of chips into the center. 500 to start, he said, his tone mocking. Let's make this interesting. The guests leaned in, phones raised to capture the spectacle. The room smelled of champagne and expectation. This was their entertainment, a test of humiliation disguised as charity. Jaden lifted his cards with careful precision. 7 of spades. 8 of spades. His heartbeat slowed. Not a winning hand yet, but one that could grow into something powerful. He looked up. Blackstone's grin widened, confident and cruel. Don't worry, boy, the billionaire sneered. You'll lose fast. Maybe your mama can get you a job cleaning tables next. The laughter burned through the room like acid. But Jaden didn't blink. He simply nodded once and whispered, "Call." The first cards hit the table. 6 of spades. 9 of hearts. 5 of clubs. The air tightened. Jaden's brain moved faster than the dealer's hands, calculating, analyzing, remembering. Every pattern, every twitch, every breath. He could almost hear the mathematics singing beneath the surface. Across the table, Blackstone twirled a single chip between his fingers, a smirk tugging at his mouth. 50 more, he said, voice dripping confidence. Jaden met his gaze. Raise. 100. The laughter died instantly. The sound of a glass slipping from someone's hand shattered the silence. Blackstone's eyebrows rose. Bold move for a child. Bold is when you know what you're doing, Jaden said softly. Even the dealer stopped breathing for a moment. The boy's tone wasn't arrogant, it was surgical. Calm. Controlled. Like a professional dissecting his opponent. Blackstone leaned forward. All right, prodigy. Let's play. The fourth card turned, a 4 of diamonds. The crowd murmured, unaware that the boy's hand had just become unstoppable. A straight. 5 through 9. Perfection. But Jaden said nothing. He tapped the table once. Check. Blackstone laughed, misreading the move. Scared now? 200. Raise, Jaden said again. 400. Whispers rippled through the crowd. The child who should have folded had just doubled the richest man in the room. Angela's knuckles whitened around the tray. Her son's eyes no longer looked childlike. They held the calm certainty of someone who understood exactly what power meant, and how easily it could crumble. Fine, Blackstone growled, his smirk returning. Call. The final card landed, a 5 of hearts. Nothing changed. But the tension snapped like a stretched wire. Jaden's voice was quiet. Check. The billionaire saw weakness where there was none. All in, he barked, shoving every last chip into the center. Let's end this farce. Gasps filled the room. Even the dealer froze. Jaden's small hands folded together. He took one long breath and said, Call. When the cards were revealed, time seemed to stop. The lights dimmed in the reflection of disbelief. Ace-King, Blackstone announced proudly, flipping his hand. Read it and weep. The dealer hesitated. Then, slowly, Jaden turned his cards face up. 7. 8. Spades. A perfect straight. The silence that followed was deafening. Then came a single sound, chips tumbling against the felt as the billionaire's confidence collapsed. He wins, the dealer whispered. The boy wins. The room erupted, not with laughter this time, but with disbelief. Patricia Whitmore's wine glass slipped from her fingers and shattered. James Morrison's jaw dropped. Someone muttered, that can't be right. Jaden stood, small but unshakable, and looked straight at Blackstone. You said you'd pay for any school I wanted, he said quietly. You should keep your word. The billionaire's face drained of color. You tricked me. No, sir, Jaden interrupted, his tone calm but cutting. I played by your rules. The cameras captured every word. Within seconds, what was meant to be humiliation turned into the billionaire's undoing. Angela rushed forward, tears filling her eyes. But her son's expression stayed focused. He wasn't celebrating. He was teaching. Money doesn't make you smarter, he said. It just makes your mistakes louder. The crowd's silence shifted to something else, respect, maybe even shame. Vinny, the professional dealer, broke the stillness. In 30 years, I've never seen a hand played so perfectly, he said. That was mastery. Angela took her son's hand. Let's go home. But as they turned to leave, a voice called out. Wait. Dr. Elizabeth Foster, one of the guests, stepped forward. Jaden, how long have you been studying poker? 3 years, he replied. While Mom worked here. The woman's eyes widened. And you learned this, on your own? With a library card and free Wi-Fi, he said simply. A nervous laugh rippled through the crowd, but this time it wasn't cruel, it was stunned admiration. Blackstone slammed his palm on the table. This isn't over. You think one lucky hand changes anything? Angela turned to him. No, Mr. Blackstone, she said firmly. It doesn't change who we are. It shows who you are. The guests exchanged glances. The energy in the room had turned completely. The man who once owned the air now looked like he couldn't breathe it. Phones buzzed as recordings uploaded to social media faster than he could speak. Within minutes, hashtags began spreading, hashtag poker prodigy, hashtag justice for Angela, hashtag the billionaire's bet. By morning, 50 million views. By noon, the world knew. News anchors called it, the night privilege folded. Influencers reposted the clip with captions like, "Don't underestimate brilliance." But for Jaden and Angela, it wasn't about fame. It was survival turning into purpose. Offers poured in, scholarships, interviews, invitations. Harvard's early admission office called within weeks. Angela, once invisible in penthouse kitchens, now managed a scholarship foundation created in Jaden's name. But karma didn't take long to find Richard Blackstone. His company's board forced his resignation. Major investors withdrew, citing ethical misalignment. His wife filed for divorce. Employees came forward with stories of mistreatment. And the penthouse, the stage of his humiliation, was sold to fund lawsuits he could no longer silence. Months later, the same camera crews that once filmed his arrogance now captured something different. The penthouse had been converted into a learning center for gifted children from working-class families. Its name glowed in gold letters above the door, the William Thompson Academy, honoring Jaden's late grandfather. Inside, rows of children sat around poker tables, not to gamble, but to learn logic, discipline, and empathy. Angela walked between them with quiet pride, her son's framed photo smiling from the wall. Reporters often asked Jaden, "What did that night teach you?" He always gave the same answer, that real intelligence doesn't shout, it listens. Still, the past wasn't finished with Richard Blackstone. 6 months after the incident, he tried to return to the corporate world. No one would hire him. His name had become a symbol of arrogance undone by truth. He lived alone in a small apartment in Queens, scrolling through old videos of himself and watching reruns of his downfall. One night, as the news replayed Jaden's latest achievement, a full scholarship to Harvard, the youngest student in his class, Blackstone's reflection flickered in the television screen. His hand twitched toward his wristwatch, an old habit from the poker table. But this time, there was no watch. No audience. No applause. Just silence. Meanwhile, Jaden was standing before a classroom full of students, explaining probability through kindness instead of pride. "Every number tells a story," he said. "But you have to look at the person behind it." The students listened, wide-eyed, as he held up a single poker chip, his grandfather's lucky one. "This isn't about money," he told them. "It's about the value you choose to see in yourself when nobody else does." The applause that followed wasn't for a card game, it was for a lesson that had changed lives. From that day forward, the world began to look differently at genius, at opportunity, at what it really meant to win. For Angela, it meant never scrubbing another man's dishes. For Jaden, it meant turning humiliation into hope for others. For Richard Blackstone, it meant waking up each morning to the sound of his own regret, a reminder that he lost more than money that night. He lost the illusion of superiority. Years later, when Jaden gave his commencement speech as valedictorian, he ended with words that echoed through the hall, "Genius isn't about where you're born. It's about who you choose to become when the world tells you you're nothing." The audience rose to their feet. Among them sat Vinny, the old poker dealer, wiping a tear from his eye. "Kid played the greatest hand I ever saw," he whispered. As the applause thundered, the camera cut to Queens, where a weary man sat in the dark, his face lit by the screen showing the same moment. Richard Blackstone watched silently as the boy he once tried to humiliate stood on stage, triumphant. A slow smile crossed Jaden's face on screen as he raised his grandfather's poker chip to the light. "For everyone who's ever been underestimated," he said. "This one's for you." And somewhere, for the first time in his life, Richard Blackstone finally understood the cost of arrogance. Because the smartest man in the room had always been the one he never thought to notice. As years passed, Jaden no longer needed to prove anything. The boy who once faced a room full of doubt now guided others through rooms filled with hope. His mother's laughter echoed in the halls of their academy, where quiet children discovered their own voices. Success hadn't changed him, it deepened his understanding that real power lives in empathy, not ego. One afternoon, As sunlight spilled across the poker table where it all began, Jaden placed his grandfather's old chip in a glass case labeled "For those who were never seen." He smiled, not out of pride, but peace. The world had finally learned what he'd known all along: brilliance grows anywhere it's given a chance. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories, because every small act of truth can change someone's life.